live here in Hampton, Georgia for some super speedway action at Atlanta Motor Speedway. This is the SAAC Coast to Coast Cup Series here on JCTV. Josh Copper joining. That was sounding good. Anyway, I'm Josh Copper. Joining me is Brett Bennett. Brett, how are you?
I'm doing well. Looking forward to some super speedway racing here at Atlanta. Kind of different than we'll see at Daytona Talladega. Tight track, tire wear going to be a factor here tonight, but always an interesting strategy race when you come to any of these drafting tracks, especially the new Atlanta Motor Speedway with the high banks.
Well, it's going to be interesting for sure. Especially, at a place like this, tires do wear a lot more than, say, Daytona or Talladega. It's going to get hard to handle a bit as the run continues on. See right here, a lot of drivers getting some last-minute practice in. Got a back racing.
Sorry if that picked up. Yeah, and as the run progresses, you will see the rear tires on this car. It tends to get really loose here. Having run races in the next gen at this track, it tend to really loosen up over the course of the run. At the end of the run, that rear end just wants to rotate, especially on exit. Especially if you're running full throttle the whole lap early in the run. You actually want to be lifting out in the corners early in a run to save those tires, because you'll still suck right back up in the draft. So it's kind of a patience game, especially early on in a tire run, just to try to save a little bit. But we'll see what happens. A little bit of a shorter fuel window in these cars, so we might be less likely to see the tire wear come into play quite as much, but still definitely going to be a consideration for the drivers here tonight.
Tonight is throwback night as well. Lots of drivers throwing it back to former champions. It could be a champion in any sport. Doesn't have to be racing related. I think for the most part what we're seeing racing related paint schemes though.
Yeah, we got a couple of good ones. We got the 07, the 08, all throwing back to Terry Labonte here tonight. Different schemes he ran throughout his career. We have this year's Jimmy Johnson scheme on the 84 of Connor Zola. Some people in this league, Andretti Robinson, Cody Riveras, and Luke Mahone throwing back to some schemes they ran previously in this league back when it was on other games, not iRacing, namely GTA. As well as you got some other various strategies they'll try to point out throughout the night, especially as they get involved in the action here.
A very totally not biased opinion. Not a throwback scheme, but my favorite paint scheme out here is the 11 machine. Ran by Dane Cruz. But all kidding aside there. Hold on.
So I mean to ask you, by the way, so having raced around JCTV cars in multiple leagues that we're in, because you tend to have a lot of cars on track running our logo here. What is the color scheme of JCTV? Because I think I've seen about every color now on a JCTV car.
Yeah, yes. Pretty much the way Cameron Caldwell, C2 Graphics makes the scheme. Some blue, yellow, black. It's kind of like that. But yeah, I mean, you see it. It's pretty much any color out there. Just drivers get creative. Nate Cruz has a light blue on that car.
Yeah, I do like the color scheme. I like the contrast between the navy to the black to the light blue. So it's a good looking car. We got a lot of affiliate schemes here. You see up in that same pack the 08 of Cody Webster throwing back to I believe that's Terry Labonte with Junior Johnson back in the 80s, but might be Darrell Waltrip in that same car, but I'm pretty sure that's Terry Labonte. His teammates are also running Terry Labonte schemes. You see in the background Malachi Drake in the 07 running this throwback to Terry Labonte's championship with Hendrick Motorsports.
It's going to be an 09. And, you know, speaking of this, glad you mentioned this scheme. On a serious note, all jokes aside, I think out of what I've looked at so far with different schemes, I think this is probably my favorite one tonight. This Terry Labonte, Kellogg's Cornflake scheme. You know, I think early NASCAR for me, it's kind of what I think of, you know, right around this time. Now, I'm not talking early NASCAR altogether, but, you know, kind of what I grew up getting familiar with. Still a little bit before my time, but, you know, watching back old races from the 90s, this is a scheme that, you know, I think of, I like. And, pretty cool to see that one out there.
Yeah, a lot of good schemes that some of earnest memories. It's what I always like about these throwback races. A good look at the history of the sport. Lets people to be a little bit creative. I mean, it's also nice seeing some schemes from even outside NASCAR. Wyatt Roberts in the 42s running the 2004 American Le Mans Series Corvette Championship paint scheme. Kind of recreated onto the Chevy Camaro that he's running, but as somebody who follows sports car racing closely, seeing that iconic Corvette livery that they've pretty much run in endurance racing for at least since the start of the 2000s, probably longer, is cool to see out here.
Yeah, it is neat to see, you know, not just NASCAR schemes, but other schemes as well for different types of motorsports. So this is a pretty cool thought of scheme. I know personally, Brett, when I think of throwbacks, I'm not thinking of, you know, outside of NASCAR. And I don't know why. Just never really did, but maybe something to start thinking about in the future.
Yeah, you just gotta go. You just gotta go to 6 hours of walking saloon with us next year.
That involves money.
Yeah, I know. That's the problem. It's also the problem for me. But either way, we got about 5 minutes left here in practice. You see a big wreck hitter on the front stretch. Matthew Miles and Ellis Wells. Another thing we're gonna have to look for tonight, though, is the point standings at the end of this race. The top 32 in points will head into a bracket competition, I believe, called Mid-Season Madness here in the SAAC Coast to Coast Cup Series. And seeding does matter in that. The higher end points you get, the bigger cushion you have in every race. It's going to be like the 1 seed's going to start each race with 32 points. The 32 seed starts with 1 point, and you can back it out from there. 2 seed has 31, so on and so forth. So it's not quite a head-to-head bracket competition like we've seen in both the NAOR series as well as we saw in the mid-season tournament in the ITP and Truck Series. But a nice thing here to spice things up as we go towards this middle stretch of the season. And so it's going to be interesting to look to see what drivers can do relative to those point standings as we head into that tournament today.
Yeah, and the tournament actually doesn't start tonight as far as drivers getting eliminated. This race will just be what helps the seedings for next week's event.
Yeah, and that's, as I was saying, it's this week, though, still something to look for tonight as drivers try to secure their seeding. Higher seed definitely will matter in this with the extra points you get in each race due to being a higher seed. So it's definitely something to look for. Zachary Thornton enters today's race with the points lead. I'm honestly not sure if they're using the drop points or the current total points. both point systems would currently give Zachary Thornton in the 35 the points lead. He's won 2 of the 4 races we've seen this year and finished top 5. And another one, only bad finish was at the road course at Sonoma. But he's going to be one of the guys to look for tonight. He's been really strong so far this season. Was the winner in our previous plate race at Daytona.
All right, well, just a little over 2 minutes left in practice. And so, Brett, who is your pick to win?
And it's a plate race. I could really go with anybody in the field here tonight. But I'm going to go with I'm going to go with Dane Cruz. I think he gets it done tonight. He's a very smart plate racer. I felt like at the end of, like, for example, at slide job at Daytona, me and Jeffrey definitely had the right strategy for that race. I felt like we had pretty good control of it late, but Dane Cruz was definitely my biggest worry late in that race. And I think he's got a really good chance tonight of getting it done here at Atlanta.
So just for clarification, I did not, or Brett and I did not talk about this pre-race. This is my first time hearing that he's picked Dane Cruz. Now, I actually got 2 people in mind just in case Brett chose the guy I wanted. And guess what? You can put 30 drivers in a field, and he's still going to pick the guy I want. So I'm not upset he took Dane Cruz. The old cruise missile that I'm sure we'll see up front. So with that being said, my other guy I'm going to go with, and I'm picking this guy because he's aggressive. He's so good. Anywhere you put him, he has a couple wins already. On JCTV, I'm going with Michael Walls.
See, the reason I would not pick Micah Walls here tonight, Josh, is Micah at any track that has a tri-oval that could potentially involve cutting. I mean, we do have a double yellow line rule here, so you are penalized for going below it. But we have seen him twice in the past week on JCTV, or the last 9 days actually, get wrecked in a tri-oval by either him cutting it or somebody else thinking he was going to cut it. So we'll see what he can do tonight, but we'll see what he can do tonight. He's a really good driver. I know he's one of my least favorite drivers to race with just because of how aggressive he is. He does not give you an inch, which is his prerogative. But yeah, let's see how he does tonight. I think he could be a threat to win, but I also think he's a threat to be out of the race on lap 3. So let's see how it plays out.
And we head into qualifying. So we'll see what driver heads out first. It looks like
Brad Sawinski appears to be the first one.
That's who I'm seeing. Brad Swinski.
And I usually am pretty good at qualifying at plate tracks, but I'll be honest, I have never figured out the best way to qualify around the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Because you can't just hook the yellow line like you do at Daytona or Talladega, so I'm really interested to see what people do to be fast here in qualifying.
You know, I'm also I drive these Cup cars every week. These are something that I prefer to drive. I also drive open setups. I don't know if I've driven fixed setup around Atlanta. The new Atlanta, that is. So I'm not really sure. Immediately, I would say 4th gear qualifying. But I don't know.
I'm not even as much the gearing. I run probably trucks more than anything. The line around here, how you cut that front stretch, because you can cut all the way to the grass in qualifying. As currently, first laps, Matthew Miles, fastest 31.667. I think he ran the bottom, though, so I'm not sure if it's going to affect his second lap. Brad Sawinski, slowest first lap at a 32.241, but he ran the top all the way around. He'll probably be a lot quicker here on that second lap.
31.520 for Brad Sawinski.
Yeah, but he is bumped from the pole. Ethan Eckert and JCTV regular in the slide job race series. Gabe Kozolo goes to the top of the board at 31.486.
Dane Cruz goes P1, 31.411.
And watching Dane Cruz, who just went fastest, did not cut the tri-off while coming to his second lap. Then ran the bottom, but let it track out all the way to the wall, both off of turn 2 and off of turn 4, and then really cut that tri-oval. Actually, did not let it track out off turn 4 and just cut the tri-oval very hard to run that 31.411.
Brian Lorenzo currently P20, a 32.499.
Yeah, that was his first lap, though. He's definitely going to pick up here on that second lap. He's usually a driver who we see towards the front of the charts, so we'll see what he can do here on his second lap. And he goes 5th fastest, a 8th fastest, a 31.509. Assigned Jody Robinson go 5th fastest, a 31.494.
Brady Floyd crossed the line to start his time.
And he's going to run the top here on that first lap.
Second, 32.018.
And so far, Cody Rivera said that he had some problems on his run. First lap was invalidated. Second lap at 31.953. Not sure if he caught the grass or something, but definitely not a great lap time for the 36 machine. But here, Floyd looking to put together a good lap here. Saw him kind of go back to front a lot of times at Darlington. Got caught up in a lot of incidents. Hoping for a much cleaner race here today.
P17.
And I think that will be it for qualifying. The rest of the drivers do not appear that they will take a time. The only driver, Michael Walls, appears to be rolling off pit road right now, but there's only 12 seconds left in qualifying, so there is no way he will make it to the line to start a lap, and appears he's going to come to a halt here.
So that does it for qualifying. We're going to take a look at our starting grid. Starting on the pole is going to be Dane Cruz. Aaron Brount is outside in second. Tristan Troll will start third. Gabe Kozolo fourth. And Andretti Robinson will start fifth.
Routing out the top 10, Ethan Eckert will start 6th in the 12. Patrick Coluccio, 7th. Brian Lorenzo, 8th. Brad Sawinski, driver was in contention late last week at Darlington. He'll start 9th. Then Jason Radcock rounds out the top 10 in 10th.
Starting in 11th is going to be Chase Gibbons. Starting 12th is going to be Devin Frank. 13th, Matthew Miles. 14th, Wyatt Roberts, and 15th is Brandon Fiedler.
Starting 16th, the 5 of Luke Mahone, then the 20 of Brady Floyd, the 05 of Will Cloud, the 31 of Ollie Reeves, and rounding out the top 20, the 52 of Brian Lucan.
Starting in 21st, Ellis Wells. Cody Rivera is in 22nd. 23rd is going to be Zachary Thornton. Cody Webster in 24th, and Ethan Fonseca Moreno in 25th.
Starting 26th, one of our Terry Labonte throwbacks, the 09 of Malachi Drake. 27th, the 17 of Michael Walls. 28th, Eric Heater. 29th, Shockey Tarpley. And rounding out the top 30, The 68 of Alexander Schumacher throwing back to Chad Little.
Trevor Burns, Matthew Stotts, and Connor Zola will round out the field. This pace car is now rolling.
And just a note, it does appear that Trevor Burns and Connor Zola did miss the start. I'm not sure if they're in sim right now or not, but Connor Zola is actually out of sim. Trevor Burns, not sure he's having some computer issues or what, but he did not make the grid, so he will be starting from pit road, it appears.
So the cruise missile has the pole. It's air going down the front stretch. 3 wide, 4 wide.
Yeah, and this is a salute to I put it earlier today. This is a 4 wide salute to Jason Radcock. He's getting married. This is his final race before he goes to get married, so congrats to Jason Radcock on the marriage. As such, we're going to go a little bit longer pace in here as they get information here for a 4 wide salute. You see Radcock pulling to the head of the field. Makes me want to do my Johnny Gibson impersonation, but I don't think I'm going to scar people with that tonight.
I want to hear that at some point, just not now.
Yeah, and I think we can keep in the bag for later on.
Brett Bennett, 410 sprint car at Eldora Invitational on JCTV confirmed.
I mean, I would love if we could get a solid dirt sprint car series. I would be very down for that on JCTV. I think that personally, I'm a huge fan of sprint car racing, especially 410s. Locally around here, we got a lot of the biggest tracks in the sport: Knoxville, Houston Speedway, all within driving distance of where I live right now. So, always love to see the 410 sprint cars, both in person and here on iRacing. So, I wouldn't complain. I still should have won like in my second JCTV start in a 410 sprint car, if not for Alonso Chicano.
I don't care.
Really
loves to talk about that race.
Oh, I know Cameron loves that race. I think everybody loved that race. That race was, according to everybody else involved, disaster, but I would have won that race if I didn't get wrecked on the last lap.
No, actually, every time I bring it up, Cam immediately shuts me down. If you're watching,
yeah, I think if I remember right, he got DQ'd from that race wrongly because the admins didn't like him or something. It was a like, if you want, you can probably find it. I think it's still on the JCTV YouTube if you go find the Bird Bowl.
Yep, Bird Bowl, one of the early broadcasts here on JCTV.
Shout out to Cody Bird, by the way. Haven't heard from him in a long time. And the lights on the pace car off. I believe we're going green this time. We might still have one more pace lap. They had made it 4 caution laps, so.
Tonight's race, 121 lap stage at the end of lap 40. Last week at Darlington, we had 17 cautions.
Yeah, I'm hoping we don't have as many this week. That was a little difficult last week. It was a really tough setup they had at Darlington. I don't think we're going to have that same problem last week. This league usually is really clean. I think just last week we just weren't in a Great spot for this car at Darlington. Yeah, and we will have one more pace lap here as they are now pretty much in position.
Yeah, this league is a very clean league. Awesome broadcast. Last week, you know, it was a tough track, tough setup. I'm pretty sure everybody was involved in something last week.
Well, last week, for those not aware, iRacing uses something called incident points to track the number of basically the number of wrecks you're in. Standard wreck is 4x. You get 2x for spinning out, 1x for touching the grass. And if I remember right, like the lowest incident total was like at 8x, and I think people had as many as 46x, I want to say. Not quite breaking the JCTV record, which I believe I hold, but definitely really up there last week.
Brad Bennett, proud of his incident total accomplishments. Here we go, coming off turn 3 and 4. The pace car lights. Yeah, that made a lot of sense. Lights on the pace car are off. Pace car driver is going to pull down the safety of pit road. Dane Cruz, cruise missile starting out front. Green flag in the air. We're underway here in Atlanta.
And a good launch there for the outside lane. Aaron Brown, he had more help behind him, and he's going to be able to clear Dane Cruz here in the turn 1.
Great job out of Aaron Brown.
Yeah, and that's one of the keys here. It really, I mean, I like to think I'm kind of an expert at plate racing. I mean, I know how to generate runs in this, and a lot of people in iRacing seem to not know how based on when I run officials. But the real key to generating runs, Atlanta, it's not as important, but especially here, it's that third car in line. If you just have 2 cars, you're probably not going to go anywhere. But if you got that third car pushing the air right on that rear bumper of the second car in line, you can really generate a lot. Usually the top's actually going to be faster out here. As you see Ethan Eckert making an aggressive move to the inside of Gabe Gazzola looking for the lead.
Put Eckert out in the lead. Gabe Gazzola getting a run on the outside.
Yeah. Not sure Ryan Blaney's really a throwback to a champion, but see the advanced auto parts here. We see Blaney in every couple. And I guess he was the champion this past weekend. And you see some cars kind of wiggling around on that backstretch. Still 2 wide. 3 wide here, probably sketchier than at Talladega and even Daytona. You gotta be really careful if you're gonna try to make a move going 3 wide around here. As you see Gabe Gazzola gonna maybe get clear for the lead, but he's gonna stay up top with Brian Lorenzo pushing him.
Well, one thing about these Cup cars in iRacing, and even in real life, but I'm gonna point it out more so on iRacing, is running the top line at these plate races. Third line, when you're doing it in sim or on a video game, you like to ride right on that bottom the whole time. But with these Cup cars, you can ride the high line and get a lot of speed out of it. And
yeah,
I love that.
You can, and actually, if you can get everybody lined up on the top, it might be faster than the bottom. It's just rare to get people lined up at the top. People aren't good at being patient like the Heath drivers some of us are in real life at running that top. Another thing you're going to see here, though, is if you run the top frequently in this race, you're going to wear that right rear tire more, and you're going to start getting loose earlier in the run. As right there, we see Ethan Eckert drop all the way back to the 5th position. Lorenzo, Coluccio, Radchcock, and Devin Frank clear out front. Devin Frank really needs a good run today. He's been struggling this year, had a lot of incidents, a lot of them not his own doing, just been back in the pack in previous races. And goodness, we see almost there, Eckert almost got up into the fence there in turn 3.
He did appear to touch it on my end, very well could have been net code. But they're going to be 3 wide here as Rashcock is in the middle.
Yeah, it's kind of sketchy. It looks like they're going to make it work, though. And Eckert all the way back to the lead, being pushed by that 8 of Gabe Gazzola.
Still 3 wide.
A couple cars look like that. I think it's just net code on my screen, but I'm seeing cars right up near that fence. And it looks like that appears to be the 7 of Aaron Brown actually going to bail out here. He dropped to the apron there, and he's going to drop all the way to the back of the pack. Definitely a move of self-preservation there, I think. I know I've done that at times to play tracks. If you don't like the way that pack is looking, you think there's about to be an accident, it's never a bad decision just to bail out a line and get to the back of the pack. You can always catch up as long as you keep the draft.
Yeah, this race, 121 laps. There's still at the line 113 to go. There's no reason to risk it right now.
Yeah, and we got a stage caution at lap 40, so yeah, right now you just the real key to these plate races, and I think we've seen it on JCTV. I'm very confident in the strategy that typically me and my teammates will utilize here, which is just keep the car clean all race, and then at the end of the race be willing to basically, until you make that final pit stop, right in the back, and then come to pit road as soon as the pit window opens. I would not use that strategy at Atlanta, because at Daytona and Talladega, a green flag pit stop, you stay on the lead lap. Here, you're going 1 if not 2 laps down because of how quick the lap times are. Meanwhile, Faber Burns started from pit road and has not had the draft the entire race, and the field is coming up to lap him. It might get a little interesting here as they catch him as they come to the fourth.
Jared Burns pulls down to the apron. Smart move.
He's going to go up down, but we got a guaranteed stage as there you see the 9 of Chase Gibbons actually caught the wall, but they're 3 wide in the turn 1.
And Ryan Lorenzo went the outside, trying to shove Sinski out of line. What happened was Lorenzo actually had nobody with him.
Yeah, that actually allowed Cazzola and Eckert to kind of get away out front, but with the draft, that's not going to last long as Chase Gibbons now closing back in on them. As well as Devin Frank and Dane Cruz, our pole sitter, starting to work his way back towards the front of the field.
Eckert got a little loose there off the exit of 2.
Yeah, because Cazzola and Eckert side by side to lead. Eckert and Gibbons side by side to lead. Frank and Cazzola right behind them. Then we got Cruz and Lorenzo, and then Rajkok and Suwinski. That top line really prevails down the straights here, and you see it at all the play tracks, but especially here at Atlanta, the exit to the corner here is a lot sharper than the exit of the corners at Talladega and Daytona. The car does want to wash up the hill. So that extra wheel you have to give it to keep it turned down the track really scrubs speed, which is why being on the bottom, you just can't open up that wheel, and you just really can't get a good launch down that straightaway as you see now. 3 cars clear out in front. The top 3 on the outside lane have cleared out in front. Chase Gibbons, Gabe Cazzola, Dane Cruz, and now Jason Rajkot, as well as for the first time tonight, the 6 of Tristan Troll get up into the 5th position.
Eckert trying to get a push. Dane Cruz goes down to the bottom. Cruz missile. He wants to lead back. He's going to get side by side with this.
Yeah, and the whole key, though, is when you go to the bottom there in the corner, you almost have to clear, or else you're just going to get eaten up on the straightaways here at Atlanta. It really is a different beast trying to gain positions here than it is at other plate tracks. But here, good run through 1 and 2, and it appears Cruz and Eckert going to get clear out front. Eckert's still side by side with Gibbons for second, though.
Monday night in a non-contest, Dane Cruz absolutely dominated in 1. On Tuesday night, he dominated, came so close to winning, but ran out of gas.
We don't talk about Monday. I don't want to talk about this Monday night. I got wrecked early and had the only car not, and then didn't catch the caution and get repairs for the rest of the race, and it was just not a fun night. But yeah, Dane Cruz really looked dominant. That was actually at this track, but the old Atlanta Motor Speedway, the non-plate track version that they used to run. So less banking, old worn-out pavement. But great run there for Dane Cruz. He's looking to win here today at the new Atlanta Motor Speedway. And he's had a really strong week, so let's see if we can continue it.
Yeah, and Tuesday night, Dane Cruz, he was on his way to a race win and ran out of fuel.
Well, to be fair, I could have told you from the back of the pack that he wasn't on the way to the win just based on when he was pitting. If I don't think I was going to win that race, but I screwed up my pit entry on my first pit stop, and we never got a caution. So, but I kind of thought that strategy of pitting late, and we saw it. Dylan Parker picking up the victory. He had pitted actually at the same time I was. He was a little bit faster than me anyway, so it wasn't going to be me racing him. But if I hadn't screwed things up, I think maybe I could have been at least a little closer to him, and maybe had a chance of that. But still, a good win for Dylan Parker there. Dane Cruz has been fast all week here on JCTV, looking to keep it going here tonight.
Still out front. Gabe Cazzola pushing Dane Cruz.
And I'll be honest, right up there with Michael Walls in terms of drivers who make me nervous when I see them in my rearview mirror is Gabe Cazzola. Another very aggressive driver. I think he actually turned me at Kansas in slide shot this season. So, but at these plate tracks, it's a lot of times these drivers who can be weapons at other tracks. It's a completely different form of racing. It's all about knowing how to manage the runs and how to work the air, which I know I feel confident at, but it's just a completely different skill set. So hard to say what drivers actually are suited for this as compared to standard racing. And you can see now
these drivers are catching up to another lap car in Brady Floyd. Well, not a lap car, but a car not a lap. Brady Floyd will be a lap car here very quickly if we stay green. It's not far at all ahead of these guys. And then it's just going to become a race between Brady Floyd and Trevor Burns for the Lucky Dog.
Yeah, and you starting to see that top one starting to spread out, and we're starting to get more single file, and you see that especially when I've noticed that in the races I've run here at the new Atlanta Motor Speedway, you tend to get more single file on the long runs because the handling really goes away on these cars. And you see it now as there you see Michael Walls in the background making an aggressive move at the top, but Future starting to try maybe form the bottom here as they come up on the lap car of Brady Floyd.
You know, I'm a little bit surprised to see Jason Bradcock make this move now. With the lap car looming there.
And Floyd does the same thing that Trevor Burns did. He drops to the apron and is going to let everybody go, but he's going to actually, looks like he washed up a little bit in the corner. That definitely getting a little sketchy, or he merged back in further back. It looks like they were all able to keep it together, though. It's actually kind of separated us into two packs, though. A big gap forming between the 42 of Wyatt Roberts in 19th and the 43 of Ethan Fonseca Moreno in 20th. An even bigger gap back to Zachary Thornton in 21st.
There's somebody in the wall.
Yeah, that looked like the 08 of Cody Webster was in the wall in the background. He's able to keep going. It looks like he might have been able to keep the draft. Both him though and the 02 of Trevor Burns dropped way back there. And actually looking at it, it looks like they were 3 wide to Brady Floyd, and he just ran out of racetrack, got up into the fence on the exit of turn 3 and 4. Everybody else seemed to do a good job avoiding him. tires that cost Cody Webster the main draft. You know, Michael Wall is going to make it. I think it's just 2 wide, but almost look 3 wide down there at the back. He's been slowly working his way up through the field. He started all the way back in the 27th position. He's worked his way now up into the 8th position. Now 7th, up 20 spots at the start of this race.
And I can tell you, you know, it's not easy. It's really not easy in tracks like this where you can be all grouped up and really know where to go.
Also, it's somebody in the wall in the background. I think that might have been the 20 of the 18 of Patrick Coluccio.
Oh man,
Yeah, he got
Lorenzo.
up in the fence.
Lorenzo went to the outside of Cazzola. Aggressive move to get up there. Now Cazzola to the bottom and driver shuffling everywhere.
I don't know if Troll got loose off the corner there or just took a little bit of evasive action. You cannot pass over the WL lines here. That would have been a penalty if he had advanced his position. So, yeah, some tight racing up front. Dane Cruz and Tina leading. Lorenzo going to make an aggressive move to the bottom. Lorenzo, though, not able to clear, but both Gabe Gazzola giving him a strong push down the back, but Cruz able to get clear out front.
Neck and neck at the line. Gazzola pushing Lorenzo just a little bit, but Cruz actually led that lap.
Yeah, and that's that advantage you see a little bit of in the top lane here. But they continue to battle. Meanwhile, by the way, the 0-2 of Trevor Burns actually, when Brody Floyd was getting lapped, got kind of shuffled out of the lead pack and has once again lost the draft. I don't think he's going to go a second lap down before we get to our second stage caution, but looks like Brody Floyd, assuming nothing changes, will be our lucky dog when we get there. Caution is out.
Aaron Brown.
Yeah, that Terry Labonte throwback. He was actually running with his 2 teammates, Cody Webster and Malachi Drake, and maybe some miscommunication among teammates because it looks like he just cleared himself on the 08 of Cody Webster and got right hooked into the outside wall on the backstretch. And that will actually set up an interesting decision for these drivers, whether they pit or not under this caution.
Split decision. Most of everybody staying out, but there's still a good amount of cars that are coming in.
Oh, we just had a wreck. Malachi Drake. Looked like he locked up the brakes and actually came up in front of Trevor Burns, who was an innocent bystander in that. He's now made it on the pit road. And they're actually going to get both Trevor Burns and Brady Floyd the lucky dog here. Both going to get back on the lead lap. And it was a split decision. Our leader, Dane Cruz, and Brian Lorenzo, Rich Radchuk, Gabe Gazzola, all coming down pit road. I think here the strategy, if you're going for stage points in the season championship, some drivers may stay out for that because you can come in, get the 4 tires, and you get those 4 tires, we're going to have another caution in 7 laps from now for the stage. So that said, you might see a lot of drivers electing here. The drivers up front staying out looking at stage points, and Dirty Robinson now scored as the race leader.
It's really tough to say, you know, what I would do here. Honestly, Daytona Talladega, if I'm not worried about stage points, I probably would pit. But here at Atlanta, even though, let's say I'm not worried about stage points, with how the tires wear here, I would think that staying out here would be better, because you know that caution is going to come out, and then come down, get fresh tires.
Knowing the tire wear here, I think pitting here is the right call. It's not substantial enough that 3 or 4 lap old tires is going to make a big difference. Assuming it doesn't compromise your window on your fuel window for the rest of the race. So assuming you can make it the full distance probably on 1 more stop, I would have pitted now and stayed out at the stage break for track position. I might, if it was Daytona or Talladega, I probably would have pitted and then rolled back down pit road so I was at the back of the pack, unless I'm going after stage points.
So the lights on the pace car are off.
Yeah, our leader, Andrew Johnson, has chosen the outside. Chase Gibbons to his inside. Tristan Troll and Devin Frank making up row 2. Sorry, actually Tristan Troll and Michael Walls making up row 2. Then Devin Frank and Brad Suwinski. Luke Bone and Ethan Eckert and Cody Riveris and Wyatt Roberts rounding out the top 10.
We're going to have a very small shootout here till the stage pace car is in.
Yep, 5 laps till the stage here.
And green flag is out.
Andrew Johnson, you leave it. Chase Gibbons is going to fight back. I'm not sure if I quite agree with Andrew Johnson's decision to take the outside here. I think the outside's going to roll better as the runner progresses. As Michael Walls got a little loose off the corner. They're obviously get a big run off the corner. He looks like he's might clear, but Chase Gibbons is going to fight back.
Gibbons had a great run there through the corner.
And one car that I want to keep an eye on, I'd like to keep an eye on here is Michael Walls. His car exiting the corner, I think that right rear on his car is definitely not feeling good. That rear end's really starting to rotate off the corner every time. I think if we're going to get a caution for the stage, I think it's going to be him.
Stroll looking to the race lead. He's underneath Robinson. Robinson, though, powering on that outside line. Oh, Robinson's going to go around. More contact in the back.
That was Troll, not Robinson. Robinson still leads.
That is true. And caution is going to come out.
And that will end the stage. We actually had 2 incidents. It looked like further back in the field. 68 of Alexander Schumacher. Troll hard caught the inside wall. Heavy damage to his car. Schumacher able to keep it off of major contact. See, I think what brought out the caution was Schumacher spun back up the track onto the racing surface. I think that's what actually brought out the caution. But yeah, so the stage 1 winner will be Andretti Robinson. And unfortunately, that might be the end of the day for that 6 Tristan Troll. He's being shown the black and orange meatball flag, black flag with the orange dot in the center, meaning that he has damage that he has to get fixed to continue in this race. And if you go to him right now, it appears he's having to turn his wheel very hard left just to go straight, so possibly a broken toe link or broken suspension on that machine.
tell for Schumacher. Was that Dane that was behind him? No, that wasn't Dane.
Nah, Dane was further ahead. He's now assumed the race lead. That was Brian Lucan behind him, I believe, 52. And honestly, what it looks like happened there is, I think Schumacher lifted out of saw the smoke ahead from Tristan Troll spinning, lifted out of the throttle, and Lucan just barely bumped him in the rear end, and that sent him around. He actually did a really good job. Very minimal contact with the outside wall at that left rear, but unfortunately for the 6 of Tristan Troll, heavy damage to that machine. And actually, he did get a lot of help there from that 9 of Chase Gibbons.
All right, so one to green. Lights on the pace car are off. Dane Cruz takes the outside. Zachary Thornton inside.
Tristan Troll has actually managed to get back on track 1 lap down, but still heavy damage to the front of that car. He's missing his entire front bumper. Plus, the suspension still appears to be probably pretty heavily damaged in that car. And going to his onboard camera, to keep the car straight, he's having to turn that wheel 90 degrees to the right. So he's definitely hoping for another quick caution here so he can actually get that damage fixed, I would be guessing.
He's going to pit road.
I do not blame him one bit for that. Couple new faces now in the top 10. Zachary Thornton on the front row here, our points leader. Will Cloud also up there, as well as Ethan Fonseca Moreno. Dane Cruz chose the outside lane for this restart.
80 laps to go at the line. Dane Cruz, race leader inside the restart zone. Green flag, back out. And a great jump.
Yeah, it looks like Zachary Thornton was caught napping on that restart. Dane Cruz will jump way out in front, but that might be a problem, as I think everybody's going to have a big run at him as they get to the backstretch here.
Cloud is pushing Thornton.
Ethan Fonseca Moreno going to drop to the apron. He's going to drop to the back of the field. Yeah, nothing Cruz can do is Thornton with a huge run to the outside, along with Will Cloud in the 05.
Dane Cruz get push from Webster.
Yeah, but him getting that far out in front really killed that bottom line. It allows Zachary Thornton, Will Cloud, and Brady Floyd to get lined up on the top. 1, 2, 3, all clear out in front. And an aggressive move to the bottom lane there by Gabe Cuzzola, pulling down in front of Dane Cruz. Oh, he threw an aggressive slider there on the 20 of Brady Floyd. That makes it 3 wide. Lorenzo, Cruz, and Floyd 3 wide for third. Fourth, sorry.
Gabe Cuzzola to the inside of Thornton. They're side by side. Cuzzola has no help. Here comes Cruz to help him. And that inside, much more important than that outside line right now, as they're 3 wide. And Floyd in the wall, he's trailing back.
Yeah, things getting very sketchy there as they roll down the front stretch. Meanwhile, Ethan Fonseca Moreno and Matthew Stotts appear to have lost the lead draft. Moreno, we saw him dropping way back on that restart. Not sure what was going on. Maybe just tried to get out of the draft, but may have dropped back too hard, and unfortunately, he's lost the lead draft along with Matthew Stotts.
Here comes Brian Lorenzo to the inside of Dane Cruz. They're going to be side by side for second place. Gabe Zolla's clear out front.
And just a note, Lorenzo, first of the guys right now on fresh tires, along with that 45 of Andretti Robinson behind him. Not a huge tire offset, but they did pit under the stage caution. So a little bit fresher rubber on that one in the 45 car.
Outside line just a little bit better than that inside line. Cruz
Yeah,
did
the
a
outside
great
line's
job.
just really well formed up on the straightaways, and it's really paying off as Zachary Thornton up on that cushion right up against the wall, right in the boards around 3 and 4. I'm not sure if 35 is trying to get clean air, if he's maybe trying to get to the outside of Dane Cruz right now.
Hard dump, but now he's got Lorenzo to his inside.
Yeah, that inside line's starting to form up a little bit. Once again, they just can't keep that momentum off the corner. It allows Will Cloud and Jason Ratchcock to also clear the inside line. But once again, they're going to come back in the corners, but you really see them just kind of get stalled out a lot of times on the straightaways here.
Robinson trying his hardest to push Lorenzo and get that inside line back up. To the
Yeah, and
front.
what's really hurting the inside line is those front three are all lined up pretty good, but that fourth car in line, I believe that's the 36 of Cody Rivera's, almost a car length and a half back of the 08. And when you have somebody riding like a car length and a half back of you, it just really checks up the entire line. If you really want your line to be going somewhere, oh, big kind of ball there for 35 Zachary Thornton in the trioval. But yeah, as I was saying, if you want your line to be going somewhere, you really got to be lined up. But there, Zachary Thornton had a couple little moments, and that separates him from Cruz. That's going to let the inside line get a lot of momentum here.
Lorenzo actually edging ahead of Cazzola now. Inside line, much more formed. Now Thornton gets back to the back bumper of Cruz.
Yeah, and what caused all that is Thornton got the wall a little bit on the entry to turn one, and that separated him off of Cruz. He also looked like he was loose off the corner. Had trouble staying on that back bumper, and that really dropped that outside line back. But now once they're formed up again, starting to, once again, that separation. If I'm Cody Webster, I'm trying to see if there's anything I can do to get that 36 to close up closer to my rear bumper, as the gap between him and the 36 and the 5 of Luke Mahone back behind him. He says, we're now 3 wide. Dane Cruz out in the middle. Cazzola moves to the bottom. Zachary Thornton up top.
Yeah, Cruz got shuffled out of line. He's going to find a way to get back up top, and now it is Michael Walsh struggling in the middle.
Yeah, and Michael Walls, look out with the wall for Jason Radchcock though on entry. That's actually going to give Michael Walls a hole to get back up in the line, it appears. You know, Gabe Cazzola and Brian Lorenzo side by side for the race lead.
And Lorenzo's going to come up to block that outside line. Robinson side by side now. Guess who went down to the bottom with all of that happening? Dane Cruz.
And now third in line behind Andretti Robinson and Cody Webster. You know, Gabe Cazzola going to look to go to the outside of Brian Lorenzo. He tries to move down from Andretti Robinson, and Andretti Robinson going to check up and let Lorenzo down. Aggressive move to the top there for Gabe Gazzola as he retakes the race lead.
And now he's kind of out there.
Yeah, Michael Walls made an aggressive move on Will Cloud, shuffling him to the outside 3 wide. And Andretti Robinson also shuffled to the middle. And here comes Michael Walls, starting to insert himself into the picture.
Michael Walls third on the outside line. Brian Lukin, I think, got the worst of that.
Yeah, and honestly, I thought that was going to be a huge accident. Brian Lukin, fourth in line on the inside, was 3 wide with Andretti Robinson and Will Cloud, and came up and just caught himself on Andretti Robinson and got hooked in the outside wall up in front of the 05 of Will Cloud, and also Brad Sawinski got spun in the background, but the entire field appeared to actually manage to make it through that accident without getting involved. Actually, really good driving from the field here to avoid that accident. Good job of people using the brake pedal and being aware of what was going on. Brad Stuwinski went around in the background, a little bit caught between Alexander Schumacher and Chase Gibbons, as well as looks like when Stuwinski got checked up, he got tagged by Gibbons. Gibbons then came down, and Alexander Schumacher actually sliding into Gibbons, but all in all, nobody suffering serious damage in that incident.
Looks like 3 drivers are going to stay out. Zachary Thornton, Brady Floyd, and Shaki Tarpley. Everybody else coming to pit road, and race off pit road. It's going to be Brian Lorenzo beats Michael Walls.
And I think there was some split strategy here. Yeah, Brian Lorenzo here to take fuel only, as did Michael Walls and Jason Radcock. 4 tires, it appears, for the majority of the rest of the field. Brandon Fiedler actually rolled down pit road. I think he missed his stall. He did not stop in his box. I would have taken tires there if it was me. Especially if I'm Brady Floyd, Zachary Thornton. It's been 24 laps since they last came down pit road. I think fuel-wise, everybody's good to make it on 1 stop from here. I don't think that changes the math at all, as far as I'm aware. But I'm not a big fan of being on old tires here at, especially the new Atlanta Motor Speedway. These drivers do have only 4 sets of tires, though, so still 2 sets of tires that Thornton, Floyd, and Tarpley should be able to bolt on later in this race. Also, Tristan Troll was unable to make repairs, appears to have called it a day. He will finish in the 32nd and final position, appears here today.
So Zachary Thornton has elected to take the outside. Shaki Tarpley taking the inside. Then it's Lorenzo on the inside. Brady Floyd outside row 2. Dane Cruz.
Yeah, and it's good.
Restart on the inside of row 3.
You're going to want to look out for wheel spin among those front set. Out of those top 7 drivers, Dane Cruz the only one on fresh tires. You're going to want to look on those guys on old tires. You're going to have to look out for wheel spin on this restart. You don't see it a lot at the Daytona Talladega, but here at Atlanta, you can spin the tires up on the restarts. It's especially an issue at the old Atlanta Motor Speedway, but you still occasionally will see it, especially in these next-gen cars on restarts.
Pace car is in. And green flag is waving.
A good jump for that 35 Zachary Thornton. Brady Floyd going to follow him. Looks like they
lot of drivers trying to get up to that top line.
Yeah, and the thing that you got to be careful about, we saw late in that run a lot of drivers starting to wiggle around. People making aggressive moves, but at the same time, a lot of those moves are being set up by people getting a little loose and having little bobbles, letting people get runs on them. Meanwhile, Shockey Tarpley pushed by Alonso. He's going to get to the race lead. Clear of Zachary Thorne down in front.
I'm wondering if part of it is I noticed a little bit of damage on that right front of Thornton. Wonder if that is hurting him a bit.
And actually, under that caution, taking repairs, and Andretti Robinson, our stage one winner, went a lap down, by the way. Also, Matthew Stott suffered download packet loss, dropped from the session. He's only scoring 31st position. We'll see if he can get back into this race, but if so, he'll probably be a couple laps down. Also, Alexander Schumacher has lost the lead draft. He had actually asked to be given an EOL due to connection issues.
Ryan Lorenzo, your race leader. Shockey Tarpley leading the inside line.
Yep, and there's Dane Cruz once again right behind Shockey Tarpley. Particularly front. Also, Luke Mahone starting to get up in the action up front for the first time really today.
It's true. That's a name we haven't said like all race long. Then there's going to be a wreck in the back. I couldn't tell who it was. We stayed green for the most part. Now a caution comes out. Malachi Drake hit the inside wall, but he started a lot sooner than that.
Yeah, the 9 of Chase Gibbons was definitely involved. Drake actually started in front of him, though. Big conflict between Chase Gibbons and the 12 of Ethan Eckert. Ellis Wells was involved. Chase Gibbons and Ellis Wells both with meatball flags. They're going to have required repairs off of that. Trying to figure out where this wreck started. It appears to be possibly, yes, Ellis Wells, Ollie Reeves, and Ethan Eckert threw it off the corner. Kind of between Ellis Wells and Ollie Reeves, and then kind of between him, Ethan Eckert. They all actually kept it straight initially, but then more contact spot Ethan Ellis Wells. Meanwhile, Chase Gibbons, Will Cloud bounced off Wyatt Roberts, who was trying to avoid the accident. Came up the track, got in the Wyatt Chase Gibbons, and Chase Gibbons hard contact with Ethan Eckert. Honestly, not sure where the serious damage was. I guess that came from being in the right rear contact and hard at the right front of the outside wall, but that did look like super severe contact. That was kind of a strange wreck, to be honest.
Another split strategy. Looks like 15 drivers staying out. Everybody else coming down pit road. Gabe Cazola is gonna win the race off pit road.
Yeah, and I'm not sure where the fuel window's at for this race. I'm gonna check something real quick while we're under caution here. That's not right. So I was gonna go jump in and see what iRacing said the fuel window was, but it said 92 laps, and as somebody with a brain, I don't think that is the case. Meanwhile, Chase Gibbons appears to have decided to call it a day. He is disconnected from the session. He actually pulled out of his pit stall, it appears. But I think quickly realized with the suspension damage he had that he just did not want to continue. So unless Matthew Stotts gets in session, it'll be a 30th place finish here today for Chase Gibbons.
So lights on the pace car are off. Brian Lorenzo and Zachary Thornton take the outside line. That opens up the inside for Dane Cruz. He's got Brady Floyd behind him. Luke Mahone taking the outside, and I think that's
By the way,
Cedar. Third on the inside. Sorry for cutting you off. Go ahead.
And just an update, Andretti Robinson was the free passenger of that caution. It gets him back on the lead lap. So all 29 cars, drivers still in the session, all are scored on the lead lap. Although Malachi Drake actually, interesting note, Malachi Drake appears to just have come in and topped off fuel at the back of the field. As long as Andretti Robinson and Aaron Brown appeared to do similar. I'm wondering if maybe some drivers are thinking here that they might try to run it to the end of the race, although I don't know if Malachi Drake, who just came off pit road, is going to be able to catch the tail end of the field before we go back green flag racing here. He's only on the back stretch.
Because here we are inside the restart zone now. Green flag is waving. Malachi Drake entering turn 3. Our focus is up here, though. Great restart from Dane Cruz. But he doesn't really have the help behind him.
Yeah, Brady Floyd got a good restart behind him, but next car on the inside line is Eric Heater, almost 3 car lengths back of Brady Floyd, but they're going to come and get to him, but if not before Brian Alonso and Zachary Thornton able to get clear out front with the lead.
Top 2 clear. It's Lorenzo, Thornton, and now Mahone. Bunch of others clear of that inside line.
Devin Frank as well. Devin Frank thought about going to the bottom. He's going to stay in line, though, in front of Jason Radchcock. Dane Cruz starting to fight back now on the bottom with help from Brady Floyd and Eric Heater. Also, Traber Burns, we saw him miss the initial start of the race, start from pit road, go a lap down, almost go 2 laps down. He has worked his way up into the 11th position actually up to the 10th, into the top 10 for the O2 of Traber Burns.
Great job out of him.
That's the thing about and that's the thing about these plate races. It really is always worth sticking with it. If you get that car fixed, you have a little bit of damage, or you get behind, there's always opportunities to pull yourself back in these races, especially with the draft. As Trader Burns has done here today. One thing that would be making me nervous right now if I'm on that inside line, Brady Floyd seems to be slipping off the bottom a lot. And that hurts the run of the inside line, but if I'm third in line Eric Heater, I'm also concerned that if he slips off the bottom, I might actually get to his inside and hook him. And that's something you got to be careful of. Another driver's rebounded, Ethan Fonseca Moreno. We saw him go a lap down earlier this race. He's now back up to the 10th position. As meanwhile, big push from Brady Floyd. Dane Cruz out to the lead. Brady Floyd also clear in second.
And caution is out.
Brad Suwinski looked to be the principal driver involved. It looked like a checkup in front of him on that top line. You see it's on that plate tracks. And he actually tried to turn down the track to avoid it, and really bad net code between him and the 12 car. Will Cloud and Shockey Tarpley also getting involved in that incident, although it looks like nobody suffered major damage. And Aaron Brown almost got taken out by Suwinski as he slid down the track. And once again, split strategy here. Multiple drivers coming down pit road. Zachary Thornton among them. Brady Floyd still stays out. It's been 39 laps since he last pitted. And I'm wondering if drivers like Dane Cruz coming back down pit road, if they think they can possibly make it to the end of this race on fuel.
And Dane Cruz can take 4.
And Dane Cruz had not taken 4 tires on the previous time he had come down pit road. He had been fuel only, so he still has a set of tires left in the pits. pretty much everybody, I think, is down to their last set of to one set tire remaining in the pits or on their last set of tires. Except for Brady Floyd, who for sure has at least 2 sets remaining in the pits. But yeah, among those coming in, Eric Heater came in from the 3rd position and took fuel only. And to me, that indicates that everybody who pitted under that caution thinks they can go distance on fuel. If you're coming down for fuel only at that situation, you think you're good to the end of the race on fuel with that stop. And that makes me wonder if drivers who came in a previous caution, Wyatt Roberts, Matthew Miles, Shockey Tarpley, and Gabe Kuzola, as well as Michael Walls, might also be in that same boat as terms of fuel for the remainder of this race. Actually, Michael Walls is going to come down pit road right here as they come to the choose cone.
Is Floyd taking the bottom? Rashcock taking the outside. Terry Burns, Brandon Fiedler.
Aaron Brown and Michael Walls both came down pit road, possibly topping off on fuel. As we get ready to go back green. So a couple names down in the top 10 we haven't really seen today. Matthew Miles up in the 8th position. Wyatt Roberts in that ALMS Corvette throwback up in the top 10. He's in 5th. Brandon Fiedler up there in the 4th position. Trevor Burns, mentioned him a few minutes ago, now in 3rd. Those top 4 all on 16 laps. All on 16 laps since they pitted, except for Brady Floyd. It's been 40 laps since he last came down pit road. 5th through 8th came down pit road 7 or 8 laps ago, and the rest of the field pitted under this past caution.
Pace car is in. And inside the restart zone, Brady Floyd gets on the gas. Green flag back out.
Yeah, good jump for that 20 Brady Floyd. If I'm going to pull up in front of that 71 Jason Ratchcock, and he's going to do just that. Top 3, Floyd, Radgecock, and Fiedler. Except 1, 2, 3 up front, but just move the bottom from 71 of Jason Radgecock. Going to hang out Brady Floyd.
Fiedler goes with him.
As is Trevor Burns. If I have any kind of record of how old people's tires are in my car right now, I am not going with that 20 of Brady Floyd. And you can see those older tires. He's already back to the 5th position.
He's holding on to it out on the outside.
Now Wyatt Roberts and Trevor Burns down to the bottom. Not a lot of help behind Fiedler, but not a lot of help behind the 42 of Wyatt Roberts as well.
Trevor Burns come to the inside of Rashcock. They're going to be side by side.
I think Radgecock just barely got that lap, but Trevor Burns is there. He was almost 2 ups down earlier in this race, but now fighting for the race lead. And that top line really wobbling down the straightaway.
Field pretty much even as far as numbers go.
Yeah, and I think that 20 car being 3rd in line on that top.
Luke Mahone goes around on the front stretch. Caution is out.
It looks like the 36 of Cody Rivera's came up the track a little bit in trial. Will just clip the 5 of Luke Mahone's. Single car spin, nobody else involved. Mahone gets away fine too. Might want to take a set of new tires, but other than that, everybody going to continue here. Jason Radgecock scored the leader, followed by Trevor Burns, Brandon Fiedler, Wyatt Roberts, Brady Floyd, Matthew Miles, Shockey Tarpley, Brian Lorenzo, Eric Heater, and Gabe Cazzola. And I'm pretty sure for certain now that if you pit this time, you are good to the finish on fuel.
So the field is catching the pace car. Middle of 3 and 4. We're going to see who comes in. Wyatt Roberts, first one to come in. And
we finally see Brady Floyd coming down Pear Road. Got to think he's going to bolt on a set of fresh tires here. Tires as well for the 42 of Wyatt Roberts and the 30 of Matthew Miles. Meanwhile, fuel only for the 1 of Brian Lorenzo.
So it looks like 17 drivers stayed out. Oh, spin on the pit road. It's number 30. Matthew Miles, he got turned.
Yeah, he was exiting his stall as Aaron Brown was coming into his, and just a little bit of contact turned the 30 car around. Not a major incident. Doesn't look like any damage to either car. Just a lazy spin there for the 30.
So as these drivers are pacing still, take a look at the upcoming schedule. We mentioned how mid-season madness starts next week. It starts at Martinsville. Right after that's the Chicago Street Course, Indianapolis Oval, and Charlotte Motor Speedway. Next 4 races before the playoffs start. Lights on the pace car are off. Jason Radishcock takes the outside. Trevor Burns to the inside. Fiedler outside. Shockey Tarpley inside.
Another driver we haven't really seen a lot of all day, Ollie Reeves, up into the 5th position in that Alsco, number 31.
Fighting his way up front. 40 to go when we hit the green. Pace car is in. Jason Radishcock. Control car here. Inside the restart zone. Green flag. Back out.
Really good launch there for that outside lane. Radishcock and Fiedler are able to get clear. Trevor Burns out in front. Trevor Burns actually going to move up in front of Ollie Reeves. There's going to be a big run coming at those top 2. They got a little too far out in front, possibly.
Gonna be interesting to see what happens here. Fiedler leaving a lane open on top. Closes it just in time.
Yeah, Shockey Tarpley, Eric Heater, and Cody Webster working that bottom lane. Cody Webster, another driver we haven't seen a lot of from here today. He's working his way towards the front of the field.
takes the lead.
Yeah, he's doing a really good job. Him and Eric Heater hooked up pretty well in that bottom lane. They're making it work. Cody Webster also right with them. I'm wondering though if Eric Heater can get clear of of Jason Ratchcock with Shockey Tarpley, whether he'll move to the top lane. And actually Shockey Tarpley going to do just that. He's going to throw the block on Jason Ratchcock.
That puts Eric Heater side by side with Tarpley.
We're seeing this race. That top lane definitely the preferred groove.
Oh,
Got a very chance to do it. And if I'm Shockey Tarpley, I'm being careful. He kind of swung low in that corner. He's getting a big push from Jason Ratchcock, wiggling a little bit in the tri-oval.
Cody Webster pushing Eric Heater.
And Brian Lucan's now third in line on the inside. Another name we haven't seen a lot of here today. And right behind him, Michael Walls. He's worked his way back into the picture. Also, Alexander Schumacher involved in multiple instances today, now up in the top 10.
Dane Cruz goes down to the middle.
Yeah, that's a dangerous spot to be. Oh, caught it with the wall there for the 45 of Andretti Robinson. He's able to keep it straight, as everybody else.
Cruz in the middle of three wide situation. Cody Rivera's on the outside. Zachary Thornton to the inside.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of impatience from Dane Cruz. Kind of just stuck there in the middle of three wide. You know, Shockey Tarpley barely clear out front of Eric Heater. Peter Webster and Lucan still working that bottom lane on Michael Walls. Cruz able to get back to the top behind Cody Rivera. Big move to the bottom of the track for Jason Ratchcott, looking for the race lead.
He doesn't have any help at the moment, but here comes Eric Heater. But Fiedler to the back of Tarpley.
Yeah, big push from Fiedler to the back end of Shockey Tarpley. That's what we want. These next-gen cars are really stable, getting pushed. You can push in the corners of Daytona and Talladega. I don't think it's a good idea here at Atlanta. Cars a lot more on edge. But you can definitely shove bumper to bumper on Baxter. So now move to the bottom for Brandon Fiedler. He's going to look for the lead on Shockey Tarpley.
And Fiedler going to get a push from Ratchcock.
Yeah, Traber Burns going to push Tarpley. We are 2 by 2 all the way by the field, and oh! Fiedler got loose down to the apron. That's going to check up the inside line. Looks like Ratchcock let him back up. Traber Burns now clear for second position. He's going to go to the bottom looking for the race lead.
Traber Burns trying to clear ahead of Tarpley. He's not going to get it in time, though.
And now Fiedler going to push Burns. Ollie Reeves now up to second on the outside, and look who's right behind them. Cody Rivera. We haven't seen him all race long in the picture. He's up to the third on the outside lane, and following him, Dane Cruz.
Yeah, pretty much how these guys are able to make that outside line work is these guys on the outside going to the inside as soon as they see daylight.
Yeah, and that's what we're seeing again and again. That car second in line to the outside as soon as he gets clear to the bottom, trying to go down and slide up in front of the leader. But a big checkup on the inside line there through the quad oval. They're actually 3 wide. Jason Ratchcock stuck in the middle. He's going to fall back. He's going to slot in line in front of Gabe Cazola. Sixth in line on that outside line.
Top 2, Tarpley and Reeves, they are clear. Well, not anymore as Burns is coming. No help from Traber Burns, or for Traber Burns, though.
Yeah, Brandon Fiedler not giving him a lot of help down that backstretch. And yeah, and Ollie Reeves and Shockey Tarpley are teammates on Zenith Motorsports. So I would not expect to see Ollie Reeves try to make that move on Shockey Tarpley. They stay committed to running that top right now. Meanwhile, Brandon Fiedler, Traver Burns continuing to put fork together on the bottom. Eric Heater third in line, followed by Cody Webster.
"27 laps to go, and the bottom
and
line."
Fiedler.
Yeah, they're gonna stack up.
Yeah, they'll keep together for now, but Fiedler stuck in the middle, still 3 wide. Freddie Robinson the outside of him. Gabe Cazzola going to follow him into the middle. Fiedler able to pull up in line in front of Jason Radchcock. Cazzola still stuck in the middle. Aaron Brown with him. Yeah, they're starting to work 3 wide further back in the pack. Still 2 by 2 out front.
Drivers are getting desperate.
And I think that's what you're seeing now. Drivers starting to feel like if they're not towards the front of this pack, they're not going to have a chance to get there. Gabe Cazzola, Aaron Brown, among those really being aggressive towards the middle of the pack. They're actually almost 4 wide. Contact, and we got Zachary Thornton around. Looks like Aaron Brown, Andretti Robinson, and Matthew Miles also involved. They were almost 4 wide entering turn 1, and that was never going to work.
Not here.
Yeah, Zachary Thornton got a little bit of push from Gabe Cazzola. Got tagged by Aaron Brown, and Andretti Robinson nowhere to go. Big kind of at the front of the car for Matthew Miles. Heavy damage at the front of that number 30. He's the only driver with required repairs out of that accident, but that possibly changes everything. Now the question is, how much are fresh tires worth? I think if you have a set left in the pits, you kind of are wanting to come down and take them right now. Traver Burns and Shockey Tarpley among those coming to pit road right now. And actually, it seems like a lot of drivers here are going to stay out.
Looks like 17 drivers, 16 drivers staying out.
Yeah, I think those are going to feel. Among the drivers that we weren't sure of on fuel were Brandon Fiedler, Traver Burns, and Jason Radchcock. They all came down. Shockey Tarpley wins the race off pit road. He appears to have possibly taken only 2 tires, I'm thinking. 10.8 second stop for that 25 machine. Yeah, that is the case. Right side tires only for the 25. But the 16 drivers who stayed out, the new leader, the 99 Red Bull Toyota of Eric Heater, followed by the 08 of Cody Webster, Ollie Reeves, Brian Lucan, Cody Riveras, Dane Cruz, Gabe Cazzola, Michael Walls, Wyatt Roberts, Aaron Brown, Will Cloud, Brady Floyd, Luke Mahone, Brian Lorenzo, Patrick Coluccio, and Alexander Schumacher.
Gonna be 21 to go when we restart, assuming they take the 1 to green this time. And by the way, Heater is looking. I think they are. Indeed, they are.
Heater, once again, that leader choosing the top lane. We'll have to see if the same kind of thing happens on this restart that we've seen on the previous restarts. We've seen Seeing these restarts really play out. The leader here really is in a tough spot. If you launch early, you're going to have such a big lead. People are going to be having big runs coming back at you. But if you launch late, it allows that inside line to stay kind of even. If the inside line's even in the turn 1 and 2, a lot of times that first car in line on the inside will be able to clear you. So it's really a kind of a guessing game trying to get that car behind you to go with you as well.
Some people might actually private message the person behind them, telling them where they're going to go.
Yeah, I know I'll do that. It depends who I'm racing with. If it's somebody I trust who I don't think is going to hang me out, I'll message them. If it's somebody who I think is going to hang me out, I actually will go early. Even in like officials, I will launch early because I don't mind if 1 or 2 cars gets by me because they get a big run. I know I can fight back and get back by them. I just got to be. It's risk versus reward.
Green flag back out. 21 laps to go.
And Eric Heater and Ollie Reeves get a good restart, but kind of left a little bit of space out front. Brett Lucas moves to the top. Dane Cruz is going to tuck to the bottom behind Cody Webster and Eric Heater. Ollie Reeves and Brian Lukens leading the top.
Our picks to win, 3rd and 4th on that inside line.
And Eric Heater, I feel like every time I've seen him today, he's been on that bottom line. Maybe he actually prefers it. We'll see if he stays committed to it or if he's going to eventually make a move to the top. Cody Webster kind of aggressively peeked to the inside through the dog leg there.
Eric Heater, he gets a big run.
Yeah, but that outside line, I think, is a little bit more formed up than that inside line right now. In fact, Ollie Reeves now side by side for the race lead.
He's got help from Luken.
The 52 of Luken. Cody Rivera's behind him, and then the 8 of Gabe Cazzola. Gabe Cazzola's been aggressive all race long and really actually been really impressed with him today. Only issue right now for that top line, that 36 Cody Rivera's is not staying connected with the 52 of Luken in front of him. And that 3rd car in line really does do a lot for what kind of run you're able to get. I think so that's Cody Rivera's trying to be careful not to get in the back of the 52, but we've only got 18 laps to go. If I'm Cody Rivera's, I'm starting to push a little bit harder right now.
I think Cazzola's taking note of that as well. You know, Cazzola, he's aggressive as well. And he can see that ahead and take action.
The problem is, as long as Rivera's protects the top, there's really nowhere Cazzola can go. He can go to the middle, but if he goes to the middle, more than likely he's going to get sucker holed and start dropping to the back of this field. Right now, still pretty even out front. I think Cuz Rivera's is kind of hanging back. That's really not letting the top get ahead. If I'm Eric Heater, though, if I can get clear, I'm moving up in front of Ollie Reeves because I feel like we can really control this race. But actually, Ollie Reeves is going to make a move to the bottom, blocking the 99 of Eric Heater. And that gap. He's just going to shove Ollie Wells. That gap between Lukens and Rivera's really came into play there. That caused Lukens to drop way back because he had no help coming from behind. You see Matthew Miles down on the apron. I believe he's just exiting pit road. Heater and Webster back out in front of this race. I kind of checked up the inside line. Dane Cruz up in the 3rd position.
Dane Cruz, he was leading that outside line, tucked into line. And now, Heater's going to go around. He jumps.
And he is going to save it. Great job of driving there by the 99. We stay green. Meanwhile, Andretti Robinson up in the wall. He's going to drop back. Everybody gets around him. Now Dane Cruz to the bottom. Can push for Michael Walls, looking for the race lead.
Webster was blocking, but too much of a run there for Cruz.
And big push from Lukens. Here comes Aaron Brown. He's aggressively go to the middle. 3 wide. Around they go.
Caution is going to come out.
And I think that I'd have to chalk that one up to the 7 from what I saw. I'll look at the replay, but looked like he just put himself in a hole that was never going to last.
Look from our blimp cam.
Yeah, it looks like off the corner, Walls was shoving Cruz, and they kind of just stacked up behind Walls, and then Brown tried to go 3 wide through the middle in a hole that was always going to close. Lucan's involved. Heavy contact for our points leader, Zachary Thornton, into the outside wall. Ethan Flingmer appeared to be involved as well.
Thornton tried to avoid Lucan.
Yeah, and unfortunately avoided him right in the hard contact to the outside fence. Ethan Moreno also among those involved. He appeared to get clipped by the... Actually, he made it through, but then clipped the outside wall. And one driver I think wanted to see that caution was Eric Heater, who obviously after getting involved in that incident had kind of lost the draft.
We're going to take a look back at what happened on that.
One driver I would say might want to take a look at the onboard of 56 of Devin Frank. He did a really good job weaving his way through that accident, not getting damaged. I know we've made jokes about the crunch car getting crunched all year today. Not running that old Dale Jarrett crunch scheme today, and seems to be working for him. He's done a really good job staying out of trouble, keeping that car clean all race long in the 56. So a quick reset of our top runners right now, as I believe they will be choosing this time by top 10, Dane Cruz, Cody Webster, Michael Walls, Will Cloud. Haven't really seen him in a while. He's back in that 05, that Microsoft Paint machine. Gabe Guzzola, Brady Floyd, Wyatt Roberts, Brian Lorenzo, Luke Mahone, and Jason Radchcock. And it should be known, Jason Radchcock on 20 lap fresher tires than everybody in front of him right now.
Cruz taking the bottom, Webster up top. Michael Walls taking the bottom. Will Cloud up the top. Gazzola and Roberts bottom.
And interestingly, those top 3 on the bottom, all regulars in the Slide Job Racing Series. I know probably not close allies in that league, but you got to wonder the familiarity between those 3 drivers. If, especially Walls and Cazzola, both aggressive drivers, and Cruz fairly aggressive himself. One of the reasons we call him the Cruz Missile. Those 3 drivers lined up on the inside. They're all going to be aggressive on this restart, and I think that's probably a good thing here for the inside line. Personally, we've seen a lot of drivers choosing the top tonight. As the control car, I want to be on that bottom lane unless I'm playing games like with a teammate who's going to let me down. The top is going to be faster on the once we get going, but usually if you're leading that bottom lane, you can clear the top lane in 1 and 2 on restarts.
We're going to restart. 10 laps to go here at Hotlanta. Race car is in. Dane Cruz. Cody Webster. Green flag is out.
And a good launch there for the 11 of Dane Cruz, but he does get a little separate from Michael Walls. Cody Webster and Will Cloud much more lined up on the top lane right now.
Here comes Walls.
Yeah, they're gonna line up here on the bottom. Wyatt Roberts fourth in line with is Cruz, Walls, Cazzola, the 3 Slide Shop Series regulars. Working the bottom, Cody Webster and Will Cloud leading the top. Brady Floyd back up in there, now in 3rd in line on the top.
Webster doesn't have the push help that Cruz has.
Yeah, but that top gets such a big run out of the corner, you almost don't need to be quite as lined up on the straightaway. But Michael Wall is really staying committed to the 11 of Dane Cruz.
It's Webster right now edging ahead.
Yeah, but big run for Dane Cruz in the middle of the corner. Good push off the corner from Michael Walls. Oh, but that actually got Cruz loose. He had to lift out in the dog leg. And that allows both Cloud and Webster to clear out front, possibly Brady Floyd as well.
Caution is out. Brandon Fiedler.
And I'll be honest, I think internet may have played a role in this one. Unless it's just on my end.
It is definitely not.
Alright, so I'm thinking what happened here. Obviously, we can't see the 39 of Brandon Fiedler, so it's all speculation here. I think he dropped connection there for a minute. No one knew where he was, but cars were probably still on his screen. Because of that, somebody probably drove into him, reported the contact on his end. He was spinning into the fence. Looks like he has a blown motor as well. Probably whoever hit him didn't even know they hit him. But unfortunately, probably the end of the day for Brandon Fiedler. But I gotta chalk that one up to internet.
I'm wondering, because I saw him right ahead of Ellis Wells, and then I didn't. And so I'm wondering if it was from Ellis Wells. Not anything of Ellis Wells doing. I'm not putting blame on Ellis Wells there.
Yeah, when a car in front of you disappears like that, you're just driving and hope they're not there when they don't reappear in front of you. Although top 3 now, Cody Webster, Will Cloud, and Brady Floyd. All 3 of them looking for a good finish here today.
So let's see here. We're at 6 to go. I do believe that they're going to take the one to green at the line, put them at 5 to go. So we're going to restart with 4 laps remaining. And of course, there is always the possibility of overtime.
You always got that possibility of overtime. Plus, late race restarts here at plate type tracks. Always interesting here as we're going to have not a lot of laps here to settle the Redwood Racing Series Hotlanta 300. Although I will say I was informed by Jeffrey Armistead, SPLD driver and our resident Atlantan, Georgian resident, that only people from outside of Atlanta do call it Hotlanta.
This is interesting. Webster takes the outside, Cloud inside, Floyd inside, but Dane Cruz, he's going to be the second car on that outside line.
I think if I'm Dane Cruz, I think that choose worked out perfectly for me. I think if the hope for Cruz would be possibly able to push that 08 out front, honestly, I think the best spot to possibly be on that white flag lap is second in line on that outside line going down the back. If you're able to push that leader, if you're able to push yourself clear and then drive under the leader in turns 3 and 4, I think that might be the winning move here today. So probably a good spot here for Dane Cruz to be in.
So
Michael Walls. Sorry, go ahead, Josh.
I was
I'd
gonna
say Michael Wall's third in line on the inside. Probably in a good spot there as well.
Broadcasting is hard. Green flag
good.
back in the air.
Yeah, really good launch for the 08 of Cody Webster, and that looks like it might let Dane Cruz get clear in second, but not a lot of help behind. Brian Lorenzo decently far off that 11. Floyd pushing hard on the 05 of Cloud.
Webster
They're going to be side by side.
Webster was just offset a little bit at Cruz's front bumper, but they're going to get clear now.
Yeah, they really lined up well. Lorenzo, Cruz, and Webster. Oh, contact! Cloud! And now the caution's going to fly.
Ethan Fonseca Moreno involved as well as a few others.
Yeah, unfortunate to see that 05, the beautiful paint scheme, Foreman drivers behind to push him on the back bumper, and I think Brady Floyd might have taken his instructions a little too literally there. Just an offset push. Gabe Cazzola also involved. He got up in the outside fence, and Brian Lukens hard contact to the right front of Ethan Fonseca Moreno, and that will result in us having a green-white checkered overtime here tonight at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. And unfortunately, Gabe Cazzola, Ethan Fonseca Moreno, and Andretti Robinson all have required repairs out of that accident. But to reset the running order as we head for the green-white checkered, top 10, Cody Webster, Dane Cruz, Brian Lorenzo, Jason Radchcock, Brady Floyd, Michael Walls, Devin Frank, Eric Heater, Wyatt Roberts, and name we haven't really seen all night tonight, that Kellogg's Frosted Flakes throwback of the 09 of Malachi Drake.
All right, Brett, so if you're not the leader, if you're Dane Cruz, where do you want to restart here?
Personally, I want to restart behind the leader. I'm going to follow the leader. Whatever lane he picks, I'm picking. I personally, just in general, I want to pick whatever lane the leader is not in. That's something that you're going to have to, when you're behind the leader, you really can kind of launch with him and push him and stay right on him. It's really hard to time the restart starting next to the leader because the leader launches first and you don't want to beat him to the throttle. And you kind of are really on the defensive when you're starting on the outside of him. So I want to be behind him. I want to push him out. I feel confident in my own ability to get a good push of the leader and possibly be able to clear that other lane and get up side by side with the leader. That's what I was able to do at Chicagoland, which not a drafting track really, but I was able to do it at Chicagoland and ITPN and almost win the race this past Saturday. And I think that's the move. You want to pull up your Dane Cruz right here. Another thing to note though, it's been 48 laps since Cody Webster and Dane Cruz last came to pit road, and you see Dane Cruz right now on the apron. And I think he's definitely shutting that car off, trying to coast, save fuel under this caution. I had messaged him earlier trying to see if he could tell me what the fuel window was, and he said he thought he was good on fuel, but I don't know how many green-white checkers these drivers are good for, so we start, especially get a couple more green-white checkers, it'll be interesting to see maybe fuel mileage might come into play here.
So Webster takes the outside, Cruz inside, Lorenzo outside, Floyd inside, Rashcock outside, Frank inside. That's the top three rows.
Yeah, and my other concern if I'm Dane Cruz right now is Brady Floyd's been a really aggressive pusher, but that's been to the detriment of some drivers in front of him this race. he's going to give you a big shot, but you got to be ready to hold it.
Two laps to decide it. Pace car is in. Cody Webster inside the restart zone. Green flag. Back out Webster with a huge jump. He's going to clear Cruz, and Cruz going to clear the outside.
Yeah, that might have been actually coordinated between Webster and Cruz. Only problem, they're way out in front of Brady Floyd, who is next in line. See what line, they might try to block either lane here. And Cruz is going to move up in front of Brian Lorenzo.
And Lorenzo going to split them. They're wrecking in the back, or at least trying to. We're staying green at the moment. Rashcock pushing Cruz.
Caution out.
Wow.
Just before the white flag. We are back under the caution here. Looks like Ellis Wells among those possibly involved. In fact, I think it might have just been Ellis Wells. We had multiple cars on the apron in turns 3 and 4, so looks like Devin Frank was having trouble. He actually saved it, but then both Ellis Wells and Alex Schumacher were side by side on the apron and trying to come back up. Ellis Wells turned hard in the outside wall and sliding backwards through the grass on the front stretch. Just the reset once again. Now our top 10. Cody Webster, Brian Lorenzo, Dane Cruz, Jason Radchcock, Brady Floyd, Malachi Drake, Michael Walls, Ethan Eckert. Big damage earlier in this race for that 12 machine. He's actually worked his way all the way back in the top 10 now in 8th. Eric Heater. We saw him leading not too long ago. Got spun into the infield grass. He's back up to 9th. And Brad Suwinski back in the top 10 and 10th.
So we're on board with Webster here. And coming to the line. Right there, the caution is out. So it was actually a good distance before Webster got to the start finish line. You can see the light. It is just past the flag stand. And then just before the, I don't know what to call that, the bar on the windshield.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, just eyeballing it on my screen, the yellow flag showed up on my screen before Webster had taken the white flag. It usually iRacing does delay the caution from. Usually, if iRacing decides to throw the caution earlier than the caution displays, it usually I think's a second or two delay. So, and based on when Ellis Wells went around, I think pretty easily caution came out before they got the start finish line. So we will have the second of 3 attempts at a green-white checkered here coming up. Question though, those drivers like Dane Cruz, who's been saving fuel, how much fuel does he still have? Meanwhile, Cody Webster chooses the top along with Brian Lorenzo, Dane Cruz to the inside, Radchcock to the outside, and then Brady Floyd and Malachi Drake choose the inside along with Eric Heater. Michael Walls outside 4th in line, and then Ethan Eckert and Brad Suwinski will make up row 5. And a quick shout out to that Kellogg's Crossed Freights machine, that 09 and Malachi Drake. We saw him around, heavy damage, and I believe our first wreck of the day, our first caution of the night. Really hadn't heard from him all race after that, but now, coming down to crunch time, he's right in it with a chance to possibly win this race.
Brandon Fiedler is trying to catch up to the field, blew an engine. Gonna tow it back to pit road.
And they can see Dane Cruz pulling out a little bit in front. He's still saving fuel. And Brady Floyd hanging way back. If I'm Cruz, I'm a little worried about how far back that 20 car is staying of him right now.
Pace car is in. Green flag waving.
And not really much for Cody Webster, but that inside line kind of not organized. Not a lot of help for Dane Cruz from 20 of Brady Floyd behind him. Cody Webster going to clear.
Webster going to block Lorenzo. Lorenzo goes all the way to the bottom. They're going to make contact a little bit. Now
Michael Wall's going to help. Sorry, Michael Wall's going to help push Webster there. Yeah, that was almost a big wreck.
Now Lorenzo controlling this race. White flag is out. And here comes
Three wide,
Michael Walls.
Yeah, big through the middle. He's going to look to the bottom.
Big wreck in the back. We're staying here. Michael Walls is going to pass Lorenzo. But here comes Rashcock on the outside. Dane Cruz, who does he go with? He's going to go with Rashcock. Coming to the line. It's going to be Rashcock taking the win.
Yeah, Michael Walls made his move maybe just a little too soon. Jason Rashcock able to hold him off. Dane Cruz decided to go with Rashcock. I think he thought that gave him a chance at the win, but he was unable to get to him as Jason Rashcock picks up the victory here tonight, followed by Dane Cruz, Michael Walls, Brian Lorenzo, and Brady Floyd, your top five. And for Jason Rashcock, last race before he gets married, probably not going to be able to run in this league for a while. Because of that, able to pick up a win. How about that?
That's pretty cool. He's going to burn it down.
And really, I think, I was just looking back at the finish of that race, I think Micah's mistake was he tried to go to the bottom in 3 and 4 when really he had no reason to. If he had just rolled the top, he wins that race. Rashcock did not have the momentum to turn down under him. But unfortunately,
Well, let's go ahead and look at our finishing results. Finishing first, Jason Rashcock. Dane Cruz brings it home second. Your pick to win. My pick to win, Michael Walls finishes third. Oh, man. We were so close, Brett. Brian Lorenzo finishes fourth. Brady Floyd fifth. Eric Eater sixth. Brad Sawinski seventh. Devin Frank eighth. Luke Mahone ninth. And Cody Rivera brings it home in 10th.
rounding out the top 20, Will Cloud brings it home 11th. Patrick Luccio 12th. Traver Burns 13th. Chucky Tarpley 14th. Alexander Schumacher 15th. Wyatt Roberts 16th. Matthew Miles 17th. Malachi Drake started up front towards the front on that last restart, but drops to 18th. Cody Webster led the field to that final restart. ends up getting involved in an incident on the last lap. Comes home 19th. Ollie Reeves 20th.
Ethan Moreno will finish 21st. Ethan Eckert finishes 22nd. 1 lap down, and 23rd is going to be Gabe Pizzola. Ellis Wells 24th, 5 laps down. Aaron Brown 25th. Andretti Robinson 26th. Zachary Thornton brings it home 27th. Brandon Fiedler 28th. Brian Luke 29th. And Chase Gibbons finishes in 30th.
And rounding out our field here tonight, Matthew Stotts, 31st, 69 laps off the pace. Tristan Toll, 87 laps off the pace, 32nd. And Connor Zola was not in session at the start of the race. He is officially scored 33rd, but did not start today's race.
Let's go ahead and bring in our third place finisher, Micah Walls. My pick to win. What a run. That's just a little bit too little too late.
Yeah.
Major move. You had a great position and then got past there. Pretty much as soon as you made your move. What was on the mind there?
The thief just parted in front of me on that last lap, and I was just going with his push. I'm not mad that I lost that race. I'm happy for Jason. I'm glad I was able to just get a good finish out of that.
This race, you started towards back. You worked your way up to the front before the stage. And then, of course, there were some yellows and a lot of strategy going on. What was going through your head just as this race kept going on as far as, fuel and tires go?
I wasn't too worried on fuel. I was about 7 laps of the good there after saving, so I wasn't really worried about fuel at all and wasn't worried about tires. So it was about just going forward, which was very hard to do that. So.
Well, sponsor shout-outs, who do you have to thank?
I want to thank Jared Bogley and Johnny Parker. And that's it.
All right. Congrats on the third place run, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
And that was Micah Walls, third place finisher.
Now I'm here with our second place finisher, Dane Cruz. Dane just came up just short here tonight. Is able to come home second. What more did you need on that last restart to possibly pick up the win here tonight?
A pusher would have helped, but it's just how it goes. If you don't have help, you won't win. But I'm not too upset about it. Tonight was a big race for Jason, so it's cool that he won it. A little script action up in here, but it was a fun race. I'm just a little disappointed that I couldn't close it out, but it was a good time.
Yeah, a really strong week for you this week here on JCTV and in other leagues. Picked up the win Monday night. Led majority of the laps on Tuesday night before running out of fuel on the last lap, and tonight bringing home second. How do you keep building on this momentum going forward, and especially in your starts as you keep racing?
I don't know, but I'm enjoying the good finishes. Obviously, I wish I could have closed slide job out too in this one. I think I could have won all 3 races I've done this week on the league side. So that's pretty cool. I can't ask for much more. If you can have a shot at the win, it's pretty nice. I just can't close them out. I keep making mistakes, or things just don't go my way. So can't do much about it. Like I said, you need help here, and if you don't have help, you won't win. So that's just what happened, and yeah.
Yeah, that preaching to the choir on that one. Not closing it. As the resident expert on not closing out victories here. Definitely saw you on the apron shutting it off. Were you good on fuel if we did get another restart there? Or how were you on tires fuel at the end of that race?
I was good. I was I don't remember how much laps I ended with, but I was like in the single digits for sure, probably close to 5. So I would have been able to do it. One more green white checkered, I would have been fine. But um, if I had that much fuel on the first green white checkered and we used all 3, I probably wouldn't have made it. But I was just shutting off to make sure because we could have used all 3. I don't think we did. I think we only used 2. So um, it was pretty close, and I wouldn't want to run out of fuel again. 'Cause, that'd be kind of embarrassing.
Yeah, and last but not least, any shout outs, sponsors, whatever you want to call out right now.
Car's pretty empty except for JCTV, so shout out to JCTV. Go watch JCTV. Yeah, thank you, Brett.
Yeah, no problem. Congrats on the second place finish, coming up just short here tonight at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. And Josh, I believe you're in victory lane with our winner, Jason Ratchcock.
Sure.
And I am down here in victory lane with the race winner, Jason. I mean, can it get any sweeter than this?
No, it can't. That was, oh man, I gotta thank Brian for helping me out at the end there. I was working with him, and oh man, just to come away with the win in that fashion last SAAC race. Oh man, yeah, I'm still kind of a little speechless here.
I mean, that was incredible job, and I guess a fairy tale ending, if you will.
Yeah, down that back stretch, that last run, I was following Micah, and I had no choice. I went around Brian. As we went to 3, he went low. That was the key. I was able to get to his outside, and I could side draft. As soon as he went low, and I got to his outside, I was like, it's over. And I was able to go through. Dane went with me, and yeah, I was able to win. So it just all worked out. So thanks again. It was a great run for the Unbound Chevy in her last race for quite a while. So it's nice to send her off with a victory.
So, I mean, what's the future looking like for you? Be out for a while. What does the future hold?
Yeah, so the future holds on Monday. I'm getting married to my fiance Daniela, and then we're gonna move to Oklahoma City, and I'm going to be leaving my rig at home for a year. We've been long distance, so I'm leaving at home to spend more time with her because it'll be the first time we'll be living together. So it's just time for us to get to know each other, get to know each other more, like in that kind of way, living together and doing things together. Because a rig, as some wise people in my life told me, like my parents, like a rig racing, that keeps me occupied for several hours at a time. So being available for my future wife is more important. And racing will be a little different when I come back. Won't be racing as much, but the break to build that relationship, build that foundation, first year of marriage is going to be key for the long-term success.
All right. Well, congrats on the win. Congrats on the marriage to you guys.
Thanks.
And before I let you go, who do you have to thank? Who gets it done for you?
Brian, working with him on those last restarts, figuring out where to line up together. Got to thank Brian for that. Got to thank Cody for organizing the SAAC League. I've been enjoying these races. Nice to get a win. And the other drivers, Dane for giving me that push at the end there that I needed. And working with my other teammates, Brandon, and then Patrick a little bit at different points in the race. And then all the guys who I've been able to race with, call friends here for the past few years that I've been on here in the SAAC League. So I'll miss these guys, but I'll be hanging around in the Discord a little bit. But I'm looking forward to my next outing on the track.
All right. Well, congrats on the big win, and we'll be watching out for you when you come back.
All right. Thanks. And thank you guys for putting on the broadcast. Can't wait to look at it tomorrow.
Race winner, Jason Rashcock. I mean, how does that happen? Just such a fairy tale ending.
The,
I mean,
the world has a way of producing that. No, it's really good to see him get a win. Congrats to him on the marriage. Obviously, there's a lot of things a lot bigger in life than them racing and relationships and getting married. That's a huge step for any person, especially anybody like our age. And hope that happy marriage to Jason. And what a way to go out winning here today at the Atlanta Motor Speedway.
yeah, incredible job there for Jason. And congrats to him. And I believe he said Daniela. So congrats to them. But I think that wraps it up from us here at Atlanta. A couple nights, the Laser Sim Racing and the Pits News Truck Series heads to Kentucky. I will not be racing. I will be in the booth for that one.
Typical Dawson Allen skipping his home race.
Yeah, and it actually was funny. When I was asked to broadcast, I thought it was because Dawson was going to race, and I wasn't going to say, no, you can't race at your home track. Well, then, as it turned out, he's not even racing. So,
to be fair, pretty good reason. He's at the NASCAR event this weekend at the Roval, so he's not at home. So,
yeah.
Hope he has a good time there.
Oh, yeah. And this isn't his first time going to the Roval event. I was there in the inaugural year. I think he was too, but we didn't know each other back then. And that Roval, it's such a fun event. I know it's getting a lot of hate right now, but I loved it. It was awesome. And
it's getting hate because the road course package is not good.
Yeah, that is true.
And the intermediate package is good, so therefore people want the intermediate. But it's a good event. It'll be fun to watch this weekend. But yeah, it's at Kentucky Speedway on Saturday. That's gonna be a fun race. I made some mistakes with substances before that race last year that hurt my performance. A little inebriated, which did not help how I ran on the track. So hopefully this year, not drinking before the race will probably help me there. I'm hoping I can get a good run, get started in the playoffs, and then next week next Tuesday we got the slide job racing league at Watkins Glen, and then to Martinsville Speedway here in the SAAC Coast to Coast Cup Series next week as the mid-season madness tournament gets underway.
So lots of events coming up. Of course, the end of the Pits News Truck Series in the middle of the playoffs. This is actually race 1 of round 2. So looking forward to that. And Slide Job, they start race number 2 of their playoffs. Watkins Glen, 1 hour event. We've watched a lot of great racing at Watkins Glen in Slide Job over the course of the last few seasons that we've done. And I'm looking forward to Martinsville next week with the SAAC Coast to Coast Cup Series. That's going to do it from us here. Oh, go ahead, Brett.
I was next week at Martinsville, I'm really looking forward to that one. The next-gen car is a little bit more stable at Martinsville than a lot of other vehicles, so hopefully we can get a clean-ish Martinsville race. It's Martinsville, so I don't think we're going to have probably going to be pacing a decent bit, but I think we might be able to get some decent runs in, especially with the level of talent that we see from the guys in this series. So really looking forward to that next week, and as we head into that mid-season madness tournament.
All right. So that's going to do it from us here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Big shout out to all the drivers and the admins that put this on. And everybody that helps out behind the scenes. Can't do this without you guys. So, on behalf of Brett Bennett, I'm Josh Coppermill signing off, saying so long. Take care, and we will see you next time.